up with ways to promote social connection in areas including transportation, housing, health, education, and labor, just like officials across federal agencies are now ordered to consider things like equity, race, and sustainability when designing or enacting any policies. Murphy's plan would give more money to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to study loneliness. Hey, give us a break. This is John McClory. Thanks for listening.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Jameson Insurance is an independent agency serving the WDEV listening area that offers local service from local insurance professionals with national depth and resources. Whether it's home, auto, or business insurance, Jameson's seeks solutions to coverage and pricing questions for you from dozens of coverage sources. When you get a proposal from Jameson, you know that they've done their homework, and you have peace of mind. Reach out to them at jamesonins.com.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
How does anybody live and drive in Boston every single day? This guy stopped in the middle of the road with his hazard lights on. This guy won't yield. That guy won't let you go. That guy passes in front of you. That guy goes 3 lanes of traffic all in one shot. How does anybody do this?
The passion.
Look, if the Red Sox aren't going to play Yoshida and Devers as they're about to get swept, then we might as well just give up and go home.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
I'm glad that Mac Jones looks better. That's really important. He needs to look better. But if it were a video game, he'd still have an overall rating of 76, and that ain't cutting it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? A very happy Tuesday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Short show today, 40 minutes. We're up until 6:10, and then it's Red Sox baseball. Sox taking on the best team in baseball today, the Atlanta Braves. We'll have the lineups for you on the other side of the 6 o'clock hour, but a 40-minute show. We're brought to you by Fecto Homes. They are your total home housing solution. You can find them online at fectohomes.com. Again, that's fectohomes.com. We've got Corm today, who is pushing the buttons on the other side of the studio. So now I'm waving at Corm today. Danny is out all week working over at Camp Tecumseh. We appreciate the good work he is doing around the state. Yesterday, Greg Titus was pushing buttons for us. I guess they decided I'm too difficult to work with 2 days in a row, so everybody has decided to kind of switch up jobs here and kind of rotate. I guess I'm that big a diva that people can't work with me 2 days in a row. So I think Greg's going to be back at it tomorrow as we play rotating producer chair, but today Corm is in there, and we appreciate him doing it as well. There's a lot to get to. It's only a 40-minute show. This is a lot to get to, okay? We've got Jaylen Brown getting paid. We got Patrice Bergeron getting retired, and we got Enrique Hernandez getting traded. This is a day where, like, I wish the Red Sox were out on the West Coast. We had all 90 minutes available to us. You can get in on the Ayer Auto text line. That's AyerAutoSales.com. They're located on North Main Street in Barrie. AyerAutoSales.com. Again, 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. Let's waste no time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber, and that new location at Rouse's Point that's going to be opening soon. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Jaylen Brown got the bag and then some from what I thought. Celtic star Jaylen Brown gets a 5-year deal worth $304 million. He gets the Supermax. We had thought the Supermax was going to be 5 for $295. It's 5 for $304. There's no trade kicker. There's no player option in that last year. So it's an interesting contract. It's humongous in terms of money value, but no player option is very interesting as well. Your thoughts on this? AR Auto text line 802-585-3026. First off, for me on a macro level, I love that Jaylen Brown's going to stay in Boston. Okay? I love that Jaylen Brown's going to stay in Boston. I did not want this team to fully break itself up. I'm not in favor of getting rid of Marcus Smart. I do believe this team is still worse today than it was at the very end of the season. That said, they didn't gut the team completely. They've got Tatum in his prime. They've got Brown in his prime. They've got Kristaps Porzingis now for a couple of years. It is at the end of his 20s here when he's a very productive player, both offensively and defensively. The Celtics are going to still be a threat. They're still going to be very, very good. I am happy that Jaylen Brown is here. I am happy that this deal got done. And I think the Celtics have an opportunity to continue to compete for a championship with Jaylen Brown. Again, I do not think they're as good as they were at the end of last season. If Malcolm Brogdon is fully healthy next year, maybe I'll change my mind. If they go get a point guard at the, in the veteran buyout market or at the trade deadline, then maybe I will change my mind. But right now, I don't think the Celtics are as good as they were. But I'm happy Jaylen Brown is still here. This was the right move for Brad Stevens. It was the right contract. It was the right thing to offer, and it was right for Jaylen Brown to accept it. You knew if it was offered, Jaylen Brown was going to accept it, right? Nobody's turned down the Supermax before. Jaylen Brown is very high up in the players' union. He was never going to turn this down and make the play, and he wants to move the bar forward for players. So what's the best way to move the bar forward? Well, take the biggest contract in NBA history. So he's accomplished that. So Jaylen Brown was never going to turn this down. It was just if the Celtics were going to offer it. I am glad they did. I am glad he accepted. And I'm glad now we can move forward with the Celtics having the best possible team that they possibly can. There are still things, though, that I worry about is not necessarily the right word, but wonder about is the right phrase, I think. That's the right way to put it, okay? I still want to know how the dynamic is going to play out with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as far as leadership goes. And I still want to know how the dynamic is going to go in terms of Jaylen Brown's mindset, okay? Because, look, you've got two guys here that see themselves as the alpha. Make no mistake about it. There are two guys here that see themselves as the alpha. Jason Tatum, it's very apparent. He is the face of the franchise. No matter how much money Jaylen Brown gets paid, and no matter how long Jaylen Brown's on the Celtics franchise values Jason Tatum more. That's very apparent. That's been made clear from day one. Jason Tatum is the golden child when it comes to the Celtics organization. So Tatum knows he's the face of the franchise. He knows that. How much is he going to let Brown kind of come onto his turf? And are they going to clash about it? Because I think that still could be a problem. It's very evident, too, that Jaylen Brown thinks he's as good as Jason Tatum. He doesn't want to be second fiddle. He doesn't think that he's second fiddle. He wants to be the guy. Now, he's getting paid like the guy, but clearly the Celtics think that Jason Tatum's the guy. So is Brown going to step up now and still defer to Tatum, or is he going to say, listen, boss, I make more money than you do right now. I have a bigger contract than you do right now. I have every right to be the leader of this team just like you do. And are they going to clash? And then is Jason Tatum going to try to suppress that? And is that going to be a problem? When you have two alphas in the same room, it doesn't always go well. If these two can play off each other and put the money and the ego aside and can coalesce together, this team can be special and dynamic, right? In the way that Golden State's been special and dynamic, right? Steph and Clay figured out a way to do this. With Durant, they figured out a way to do this. LeBron figured out a way to do it with Kyrie. It can work, but it's not easy. When you have two guys that think they're as good as each other, one guy who's been handed everything in terms of being the face of the franchise, and one guy who thinks he should be the face of the franchise, they absolutely can clash. It doesn't always work. We have to see how this is going to go. This is a great first step. Jaylen Brown is here. The contract stuff is over. The talk about trading him is over. The hard feelings about him being in trade rumors is over. That all is excellent. We don't have to worry anything about it. how Jaylen feels about Brad Stevens is over. None of that is a story, and that is great. That distraction is now gone. And now the Celtics can focus on playing basketball. But when they're focusing on playing basketball, do these other issues come up? And that's what I want to know. Jaylen Brown, does he see himself as the leader? Does he try to take over in the leadership role? Like, think about it. There's a void. Marcus Smart is gone. There's a void in the leadership department. Does Jaylen Brown step in and say, look, I'm the vocal guy on this team. I'm the two-way player on this team. I'm making a whole bunch of money now. I'll step up and I'll be the leader. And does Tatum sit back and say, hey, great, I don't want to be the vocal guy. You do it. Or does he say, listen, buddy, okay, listen, I got this. Okay, you see the marquee out there on TD Garden? Yeah, that's my face on that, not yours. Like, I don't know how Tatum's going to feel about this. I don't know how Brown's going to feel about this. The dynamic could still get ruffled. We've seen Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell be two Supermax players end up not winning a title together and ending up with the team getting broken up. So it can happen. But today is a good first step. I also find it very interesting, though. Very interesting. There's no player option at the end of this deal. No player option. Because usually what happens in the NBA is that a guy gets a player option and then he holds the organization hostage for more money and says, hey, trade me or give me more money. Brown now is kind of just stuck in Boston for the entirety of the 5 years. He doesn't have a power play and leverage play to have at the end of this deal. Now, he certainly could be traded before that if any of the things I've just mentioned happen. But I think him not having an option shows that he's not necessarily looking to rake the organization over the coals. And I think it also shows that he sees himself in Boston, at least for the long term, right? At least for 5 years. He's not looking for an off-ramp. But I think that's important. For a guy that we've wondered if he likes Boston, for a guy that we've wondered if he really wants to be in the organization, for him to not be looking for an off-ramp, I think that's noticeable. I think that is noticeable. You can still have any number of issues, but for today, he's here. He wants to be here. He's not looking for an off-ramp. And now all the distractions of the last year about his contract and his emotions, they are over. Today is a great day. And today the Celtics can start moving forward, and today the Celtics can start planning how can they go and get banner number 18, because that's what they want, and that's what they need, and that's what this core should be able to get. Okay, the Eastern Conference, remember for years, Western Conference was the power conference. Eastern Conference is loaded now. Eastern Conference has Embiid, the MVP. Eastern Conference has Giannis, a former MVP and a champion. Eastern Conference has the Knicks, who I don't believe in championship level, certainly playoff level. They've got the best coach in the league in Spoelstra in the East, and Jimmy Butler's there as well. And now Jimmy Butler's dating Shakira, so who knows what kind of superpowers he's going to get moving forward. We've also got, I look at it and say Donovan Mitchell's in the East. The East is very, very good. I'm not a Trae Young guy, you know this, but Atlanta is at least interesting. So the East is very, very good. It's not going to be easy. A lot of things can happen, but the Celtics are putting themselves today in a position to be back at the top of that conversation. Peter and Williston on the AR Auto text line 802-585-3026. It shows the Celtics are being loyal to Jaylen Brown after a couple of years of throwing his name out there in trade talks. Also, the new look Celtics remind me of Big Three in Miami, LeBron, D. Wade, and Bosh. The Celtics absolutely have a Big Three. They absolutely have a Big Three. They've got to get their new era Big Three of Jaylen, Jason, and Porzingis. The question is, do the Celtics have enough toughness, enough grit, enough leadership to ultimately win the title? That's the thing we're going to wonder, right? There's a reason why I say they're worse today than they were at the end of the season. They don't have Smart. They're not as good defensively. They don't have the toughness. They don't have the heart. We will see who provides it. We will see if they're able to find it. We'll see if they can score 160 points a game and not need it. But there's a reason why I question the Celtics' ability right now. They've got their Big Three. They need depth. They need toughness. That's what they need to find. But again, today, those questions are for later. Today, is a big day. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up about 27 minutes from now. We'll bring you the lineups for Sox and Braves on the other side of the 6 o'clock hour. Enrique Hernandez traded today. We'll get into what we know as well. That coming up again about 6:05. We'll have that. But so we go from one extreme to the other. The Celtics window continues to stay open with the Jaylen Brown news. The Bruins window just might be closing because of the Patrice Bergeron news. We'll take you through Bergie and his decision to retire. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Have your floor seen better days? Don't fret, because Sticks and Stuff is here to help with the Rescue My Floor contest. Enter your ugly floor at Sticks and Stuff in St. Albans for a chance to win new floor covering valued up to $2,500. All you have to do is bring in a picture of your floor and proof of home ownership between July 15th to the 31st. Voting occurs in-store from August 1st to October 31st. Complete contest details can be found posted in the St. Albans store or online at sticksandstuff.com.
Memorial Valley Ford in Hardwick is open for business. Folks, the rains have dealt our state a tough blow, but we're all Vermont strong, and together we'll get through this. Our entire Memorial Valley dealership family wants to say a huge thanks to Governor Scott for his leadership, and most of all to the first responders and to both state and town highway transportation crews for keeping us safe and getting our roads back open. As I stated, Memorial Valley Ford is 100% open for business. While we experienced light flooding and the loss of several new vehicles, thankfully, over half of our inventory was on high ground and unaffected. And yesterday, as cleanup began, we went out and purchased 8 truckloads of new Fords from our wonderful dealer partners throughout New England who have come to our aid. For your convenience, effective immediately, Memorial Valley Ford has reinstated our store to your door service and sales pickup and delivery. So call us today, or even better, drive routes 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and Memorial Valley Ford. And remember this, at Memorial Valley Ford, we know our Vermont family matters.
Are you looking to get rid of your used mobile home? Here at Fecto Homes, we don't just sell new mobile homes, we also buy used. If you have a used mobile home that you are looking to sell, we can either accept it as trade and apply the value to a new home with us, or purchase it outright. We offer fair prices and quick removal of your mobile home. So reach out to us for a quote today. Fecto Homes, 350 River Street, Montpelier, or visit us at fectohomes.com for more information.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by vtdigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local change makers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at vtdigger.org or sign up for our podcasts. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
This is Field Yates of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and the WDEV app.
Brady Farkas Show back at it here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. There's so much going on today. We can't even get to the Patriots news. I'll have to save that for tomorrow. Certainly a lot of it out of what Bill Belichick had to say about Jack Jones earlier, and some more Patriots storylines as we get ready for training camp, which the first official practice is tomorrow. We do have full shows coming up on Thursday and Friday, so we'll have a chance to take you through a lot of what's happening in Foxborough. But right now, I want to take you through what's happening with the Boston Bruins. Patrice Bergeron. This was, I had heard they were expecting this, but still, it hits you by surprise when, well, one of the most important players in your organization's history and one of the best players on your current team calls it quits. And that's what Patrice Bergeron did today. Bergeron put out a statement. It was, as you can imagine, extremely well written, extremely articulate. It was very long. He thanked everybody you could thank, from his family to his friends, to his teammates, to his agent group, to the Bruins ownership. It was just, it was beautifully written. I encourage you to go find it on Bruins.com. He says, for the last 20 years, I've been able to live out my dream every day. I've had the honor of playing in front of the best fans in the world, wearing the Bruins uniform, and representing my country at the highest levels of international play. I have given the game everything that I have, physically and emotionally, and the game has given me back more than I could have ever imagined. But that's just part of what is a very lengthy statement there from Patrice Bergeron. First and foremost, you just have to say thank you. It stinks. There's more in the tank, right? He played 20 years, and you could feel like he could have kept going, and he could have kept going at a very high level. So it does stink. It stinks for a lot of different reasons. It stinks because this is a guy that we enjoyed playing. It stinks because for an entire generation of Bruins fans, they only know the Bruins with Patrice Bergeron, and when that guy leaves your team, you feel like, your childhood is kind of ended. You have fans that have grown up entirely, that have gone from 10 years old to 30 years old just watching Patrice Bergeron play for the Boston Bruins. That's difficult as a fan when that goes away. So it stinks for fans, it stinks for the organization, and it stinks for the team, because the team, much like the Celtics, I think, is now worse today than it was at the end of the season. And Patrice Bergeron leaves a giant hole there. Okay, and this is a Bruins team now that's lost Bertuzzi, that's lost Taylor Hall, that's lost Bergeron, that very well may lose Krejci, and also could lose Jeremy Swayman. We haven't gotten there yet, but it's certainly possible. So this is a difficult situation for the Bruins to be in. It's not just saying goodbye to a legend. It is your chances next year are now severely hampered. And that's not a spot that you want to be in if you are Jim Montgomery and the Bruins ownership group and Cam and Neely and Sweeney and Don Sweeney. This is not a spot you want to be in. And this is what I'll say. Like, again, I make no bones about this. I'm not Mr. Hockey. You're not going to catch me on here talking about the umbrella power play and how to beat the odd man rush. Like, you're not going to find me catching that, talking about that stuff. But there was one Bruins talking point that I had all year. The Bruins better win the title this past season, because that very well may be their last best chance. And you're seeing that play out this offseason. Look, the Florida Panthers showed us, if you can just get into the playoffs, you can make a run. So the Bruins are not dead. They are not done. But their best chance last year was their last best chance. Bergeron's gone. Krejci might be. Hall is gone. Bertuzzi's gone. The goaltender depth might be gone. Yes, the Foligno's gone. You've got Pasternak, and you've got Marchand, and you've got at least Ullmark right now. So you've still got good building blocks that other NHL teams would die for. I totally get it. The Bruins are not dead, and I'm not saying they're going to end up with 40 points next season. But in terms of being a true championship threat, they're not there right now. They're not there right now. There's too many A pieces that have now been taken off of this team, right? A star has been taken away, and some of the depth has been whittled away as well, and there might be more coming. So this is a tough day on a lot of different levels for the Bruins and the fan base, because it's the end of an era. It is the end of, it's tough day for fans who have grown up watching Bergeron. It's also the realization that your team is nowhere near the record-setting team that there was a year ago. And how that manifests itself in the playoff race, you're going to be in 4th seed, 6th seed, I don't know. But you're not going to be the number 1 seed and guarantee yourself home ice. I can promise you the Boston Bruins are not going to have the best record in the Eastern Conference next year. And we're going to have Tom Caron on tomorrow, and we're going to talk a lot about baseball and a lot about Red Sox and a lot about the trade deadline. We're also going to ask him here about the Bruins. And I don't do a lot of rankings. You know this. I don't do a lot of Mount Rushmore type stuff. I think that's lazy and bottom feeder sports talk radio. But if I were so inclined, Patrice Bergeron of the last 20 years is certainly on the Boston sports Mount Rushmore, and he very well might be on the Bruins Mount Rushmore overall. This is a significant loss and a guy who's had significant impact. I think about the Boston sports Mount Rushmore in the last 20 years. I'm thinking about Tom Brady. I'm thinking about David Ortiz. I'm thinking about Patrice Bergeron. And the fourth one can be up to you. If you want to put Paul Pierce, or you want to put Kevin Garnett, or you want to put Jason Tatum, or you want to put Marchand, or you want to put Pedroia, I don't care who the fourth spot is, but Bergeron is on the list. That's how big an impact he had for the team, for the region. And again, his statement was incredibly well written and incredibly articulate, just the way you would have expected it to be. He hit on all the keynotes. He talked also about representing his country and playing at the Olympics and winning 2 gold medals for Team Canada in, what was that, 2012 and 2016, I think? Yeah, 2012 and 2016, because the NHL players weren't able to play in the 2020 Olympics. Yeah, 2020 Olympics, which might have become 2021. I've lost track of Olympic years now because of COVID. But this is a guy who did it the right way and did it the right way for 20 years. And you think about, this is a group that's lost Chara. It's a group that's lost Bergeron. These are career Bruins or thought of as career Bruin. In Bergeron's case, he is a career Bruin. Chara played other places. But these guys are seminal figures in Bruins history. I mean, Corm, you're in for Danny today, pressing the buttons back on the other side of the glass here. You're a diehard Bruins fan, much more so than me. I can't imagine that you feel real good today about the Bruins' chances and where they're at right now.
No, they're worse. They're worse off going into this upcoming season. They've lost too much, even Bertuzzi leaving and Bergeron. Krejci's not coming back. So they're not going to be as good as they were last year.
I certainly wouldn't think that Krejci's not coming back. I would think that Krejci's not coming back, especially without Bergeron. I'm not saying they're a package deal, but I don't think that Krejci wants to come back and do this without Bergeron, because he then sees the writing on the wall. Like, he's a smart guy. He's been around hockey for a long time. He knows the team's not going to be as good, and I don't think he says, I'm not going to sign up to put my body through this when we don't have as good a chance. Peter says Gronk could be the fourth on the Boston Mount Rushmore. Yes, he could. You're absolutely right. Again, I don't care about the fourth spot. Brady's got one, Big Papi's got one, and Bergeron's got one. And you want to give it to Gronk? Fine. Make a case for it. You want to give it to Pedro? Fine. You want to give it to Pedroia? That's fine. You want to give it to Marchand? I could live with that too. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, you can give it to a lot of different people. If I had to give it to a Celtic, I'd probably give it to Pierce out of longevity, but there will be some people emotionally who want to give it to Garnett. I know I'm not giving it to Kyrie. That's what I know. Tony and Stowe wants to know if Bergeron is a Hall of Fame candidate. Of course he's a Hall of Fame candidate. And he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. This is the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's not the NHL Hall of Fame. Even if it was the NHL Hall of Fame, he'd get into that. But you look at he's a Stanley Cup winner. He's been on a team he's been the leader of a record-setting points team. He's won 2 gold medals. He's won a Stanley Cup. How many Selke trophies has he won? He's not just going to be a Hall of Fame candidate. He is going to get in. There's no doubt in my mind that Patrice Bergeron gets into the Hall of Fame. And again, his international resume will help him as well. There's one more Bruins thing here that I wanted to get to, but it slipped my mind for the moment. Again, we'll talk to Tom Karen of Nesson about this coming up tomorrow. He'll be with us at 5:45. But just a tough day. It's always hard to see your heroes, your favorite players move on. I remember, for me, seeing Ken Griffey move on. I remember, lesser than that, the Sean Alexanders and the Matt Hasselbecks of the world, who didn't have the impact that Bergeron did. But I saw too, this was what tells you how good Bergeron is and how transcendent he was. I saw people today at Patriots training camp talking about Bergeron, and that's not wholly surprising. But guys who play football on the first day of football talking about a hockey player. And look, David Andrews was one of them. He's a captain of the Patriots. He was talking about Bergeron. He said, look, I don't know the ins and outs of hockey, but I know that guy does things the right way. He knows that that guy does things the right way. That shows you the impact that Bergeron has, that guys who are not hockey fans can recognize and appreciate his greatness. Matthew Slater, we'll have this cut for you tomorrow. on the afternoon news service a little while ago said that Bergeron did things the right way, that he admired his consistency, that he admired his work ethic, that he was somebody that he looked up to in terms of how he went about his business. He said, it took me 5 or 6 years here to get into hockey, but once I did, I recognized Bergeron's greatness, that when you transcend your sport, you've done something special. And Bergeron did that for 20 years. Our guy Kevin over in Duxbury says Bill Russell could be the 4th on the Boston Mount Rushmore. What are you talking about, Kevin? We're talking about in the last 20 years. Bill Russell might be on the all-time Boston Mount Rushmore, but he's not on the Mount Rushmore in the last 20 years. We got to keep up and play by the rules. Right? If we're talking about Boston Mount Rushmore's period, then we're throwing out, Ted Williams and Tom Brady and Carl Yastrzemski could get in there, and Bill Russell could get in there. There's all kinds of people if we open it up to the top 4 of all time in Boston sports, but Bill Russell is not in it for the last 20 years, although we do mourn his death, of course. So it's a big loss for the region and a big loss for basketball. But in the last 20 years, he's not on the Boston Mount Rushmore. Okay. Enrique Hernandez traded today from the Boston Red Sox, traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll tell you the reported return coming to the Red Sox, and we'll give you the Red Sox lineups as the Sox get ready to take on the Atlanta Braves, the best team in baseball. Our coverage begins in 10 minutes. First pitch in an hour and 10 minutes. Here on your home for Red Sox baseball, WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, and always streaming on the free, yes, 100% free, WDEV radio app.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top at Sugarbush at 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield. In Barrie at 96.5. In Montpelier at 98.3. Along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury, Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 92 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. An intense heat dome spreading and landing more people in the hospital. CBS's Nicole Skanga is in Tempe, Arizona, where it was 1:15 today.
At the Arizona Burn Center, officials say more than a third of the beds are occupied by patients with surface contact burns.
I think it's affecting me more.
We met 66-year-old Jacob Cohen at an indoor rec center in Glendale, Arizona.
Thinking about moving, yeah.
Meantime, CBS's Christian Benavides tells us heat's baking the nation's breadbasket.
The weather is already having an impact on Minnesota farmers. This blueberry field in Stillwater is now offering big discounts, with the heat expected to damage the crops.
I have a prayer that I hope is answered, that our fruit that is still green and pink can actually weather the heat storm.
Strong storms are grounding flights in the Northeast. President Biden is pushing insurance companies to expand mental health coverage. CBS's Christopher Cruz.
It would require insurers provide the same level of coverage for both mental and physical health care.
You get referrals to see mental health specialists, but when you make the appointment, they say, I can't see you until your doctor submits the paperwork and gets special permission from the insurance company. Give me a break.
New rules won't take effect for another few months. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just cut a third of his 2024 campaign staff. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
This comes after he raised about $20 million in the fundraising quarter that ran from April to June. The issue is he's burned through much of that cash quite quickly, spending big on campaign events and other logistical matters.
UPS reached a deal today, avoiding what could have been a very costly strike. Supply chain CEO Abe Eshnazi.
Unfortunately, a strike in this magnitude with the volume that they handle, we don't have enough alternatives. So first, costs would have gone up. Delays would have increased in terms of products.
The deal includes better pay for part-time workers and AC in delivery trucks. SAG members took their strike to Times Square today.
Bryan Cranston, known for his work on Breaking Bad, was there.
We are not in the same business model that we were even 10 years ago.
Actor Steve Buscemi on some of what the members are fighting for against studios.
Fair pay, revenue sharing, health care.
While the SAG strike is about 2 weeks in, the writers' strike began nearly 3 months ago. Matt Piper, CBS News, New York.
Well, you've got another shot tonight to hit it big.
Across America with Mega Jackpots. It's Mega Millions.
The Mega Millions jackpot now up to $820 million. It's the 8th largest lottery prize ever. This is CBS News.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed, the end-to-end hiring solution. Attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
It's been a busy 2 weeks at Nelson Ace Hardware in Barrie. They've made progress in cleaning and salvaging, but they're not ready to resume their normal business hours and will continue their reduced hours this week, Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 4, closed on Sunday. They plan on returning to normal hours 7 days a week, starting July 31st. Bob and the crew at Nelson Ace Hardware thank you for your understanding and for the enormous amount of support they have received. Together, we are Barrie Strong.
Call before you stall. Micho Septic Service will set your liquid waste system up for success with septic tank and sewer services. Family owned and operated since 1980, Micho Septic Service has been dedicated to treating their clients like family. Call today to schedule your free estimate and get on their books for the 2023 season. 802-472-6682. Providing dedicated worry-free assistance regarding all sewer line, portable toilet, and septic needs.
Micho Septic Service in East Hardwick. Call before you stall.
Bergamot and Amore is happy to be back open and wants to encourage you to support local businesses by purchasing gift cards at local stores who are temporarily closed to help take the pressure off their ever-growing financial burdens. Consider donating flashlights, candles, pet food, and clothing to shelters, donating to local food pantries, or offering someone a ride. The ripple of these gestures will echo further than you know. Please visit bergamotamore.com and consider purchasing a sweater to contribute to their flood relief fundraisers.
Legendary Maple and Ice Cream is back open for business in Williamstown. Come down and enjoy an authentic maple creamy. While you are out and about, please consider supporting other businesses that were affected by the flood. The Den will be hosting Floodstock, a music jamboree, the weekend of July 29th to raise money for flood victims of Washington and Orange County. Stop by and make a donation and listen to good music. Follow us on Facebook for more information. We are in this together.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Red Sox baseball 5 minutes from now here in the stations of Radio Vermont, WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. We'll get you the lineups here momentarily, although I'll be honest with you, the Red Sox lineup is not out yet. We do have the Braves lineup. We'll give that to you here, along with the pitching matchup. The Red Sox have not put a lineup out yet. Probably that reason why. Red Sox traded away a guy who might have been in that lineup today. The Red Sox have traded away Enrique Hernandez to the Los Angeles Dodgers for two pitchers who are largely minor league pitchers. First and foremost, I am certainly okay with trading Kike Hernandez. I've been talking about this for weeks. I thought maybe there was an opening for him to become the full-time second baseman in the wake of Christian Arroyo's struggles and possible injury, but I'm not attached to Kike Hernandez at this point for the Red Sox. He is a guy who helped carry them in the 2021 playoffs. He's a nice guy, a good leader. I like his overall skill set. He just became a redundant, not necessary part this year, right? When he couldn't play shortstop, he was no longer necessary. They have guys who can play second base, right? Chang can play second base and do it effectively. They've got Arroyo who can play second base. They've got Duvall and Duran who can play the outfield. So there's just not a lot of room for Kike Hernandez right now. And if he's not playing, the best thing for him and for the team is for him to go play somewhere where he can help, and for the Red Sox to get something of value in return. So I'm okay with Kike Hernandez being traded. I've been calling it for weeks, and I'm happy for him. He's going to get a chance to go play in the playoffs again with the Dodgers and have a chance to win a World Series. That's something that is good for him, and he's got a chance to win his second title. So I think everybody ultimately ends up okay in this. Now, the Red Sox return two minor league pitchers. I guess it's probably fair, but it's less than I thought maybe Kike Hernandez could bring. Kike Hernandez is a player at the major league level right now. I thought maybe there was a major leaguer for major leaguer swap here. I thought maybe the Red Sox could bring in someone's fifth starter or someone's sixth starter who could be the Red Sox fourth starter at this point. I thought maybe there was a major league for major league swap that could happen. Lou Merlone kind of quelled water on that with us yesterday. He said, I don't think you're going to get that much for Kike. Evidently, he was right. Surprise, surprise. They go and get two minor league arms. Now, Nick Robertson is one of those arms. Now, people are very, very high on him. He's made his major league debut this year. I'm looking right now on social media. Nick Robertson has been one of the best relievers in all of AAA baseball this year. He was on the Dodgers midseason top 30 prospects list. He's a guy who has a 38% strikeout percentage. He gets a lot of swinging strikes. So clearly has good swing and miss stuff. That's what you'd want out of the bullpen. I just don't know if he's going to factor into this year's bullpen, which is something that I would have liked to see. Again, somebody who could contribute this year. I had hoped Kike Hernandez could net a back-end starter. If he wasn't going to net a back-end starter, I hope he could net a reliever that was going to help this year. I don't know if Nick Robertson is going to be that. Maybe the Red Sox can send somebody down. Maybe somebody gets injured, and Robertson can contribute, but he's not contributing right now at the major league level for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Corm, I'm going to fire the lineup music once I start talking, fade it down so I can talk over it, but this always gets me hyped for Red Sox baseball in about 90 seconds. The Braves are the best team in baseball. They're 64-34. The Red Sox are 53-47. Pitching matchup is veteran Charlie Morton pitching for Atlanta, 10-7 with a 3.36 ERA. John Schreiber, fresh off the injured list, serves as the opener tonight for the Red Sox, 1-0 with a 2.12. Ronald Acuna Jr. is probably going to win the MVP in the National League. 332, 23 homers, 58 RBI, and 46 steals. Ozzie Albies hits second and plays second. Austin Riley, the slugger, is at third. Matt Olson, the slugger, is at first. Sean Murphy, the slugger, is at catcher. Marcelo Zuna is the DH. Eddie Rosario's in left. Orlando Arcia is the shortstop. And Michael Harris, the second, is in center. The Braves are so good. Last year's Rookie of the Year is hitting ninth. They've got the most home runs in baseball. They've got 8 of their 9 guys right now. All have double-digit homers. They've got 4 guys with 20-plus and 1 guy with 30. They are loaded. We'll be back at it again tomorrow here on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
It's time for the Mass Mutual Red Sox pregame show. Proudly brought to you by Mass Mutual. Mass Mutual. Insurance, planning, investments. Now, here's Rich Key.